to this evening and meditation. I'll be guiding you through a 10-step letting go process, which is a sign of really the teachings of the Course in Miracles. Just let's start the meditation. So sitting comfortably or lying comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands on your lap. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And breathing in. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostril. Inhale, breath. Maybe you feel some subtle energy rising up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, like just connecting with your heart space, bringing your mind into the present moment, connecting fully in with your breath and feeling of your hand on your heart. Any other body sensations? Take another maximal inhale breath. On the top of the inhale, I just want you to bring to mind any kind of negativity that you're dealing with, any difficulty. What's most vexatious in your life for you right now? Just bring that to mind and acknowledge the thoughts and emotions that come up. Take another breath in and just create some space around them. Just acknowledging them, looking at them. This is essential if you're going to let them go. And the 12-step program was mentioned earlier. It's all about, first of all, saying, okay, there it is. I'm seeing it clearly. So just be fully present and aware of these thoughts and emotions. And try to remain somewhat detached. It's not letting yourself react emotionally to them. So you don't sabotage this process. Breathe in again if you need to. See yourself as something separate from the thoughts and emotions you're observing in the mind of the person you thought was you previously. The truth is, this isn't really you. One day you'll fully realize that you're not really this person at all. Breathe in. Let's create some space to receive these kinds of realizations. Now, exhale, you can remind yourself that the world and your changing perception of it, in the situation that seems to be upsetting you, is an illusion or releasing it. It's all false and it's not really happening. It's really nothing. That will be upset and resistance. So this might seem to be a bit impossible, even incomprehensible to you. But this is just your ego's resistance to the truth. So be willing to just do the steps. It's just an illusion, it's a dream, it's not real. Say it to yourself, even if you don't quite fully comprehend or believe that. Just think that whatever you think and perceive about the situation and the characters involved in it, including yourself, there's characters in a dream. It's only an illusion or a dream or a movie. It's another way of looking at it. Use whichever term you find most helpful for you. And you'll then be telling your mind the real reason that it should let go of its attachment to these false thoughts and perceptions. You can let them go because they're not real. So breathe in again. Just get into a nice, deep, slow, rhythmical pattern with the breath. So you're breathing in through the nose, in a nice rhythm, relaxing into it. Observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Let that keep your awareness in the present moment. So now I want you to remember that all of this dream, this illusion of your life is a projection. Everything you experience in this world is your projection. In other words, it's your own thoughts, your own beliefs projected out, seemingly made real and manifest in the dream, even if all of this appears to be outside and independent of you. That's the illusion. It seems to be outside, but it's not really. So the truth is, there's only one mind that's dreaming the dream of the universe, this physical, material universe, and the lives apparently being lived out in time and space. So whatever someone appears to be doing to you, you are in fact doing to yourself out of your own unconscious guilt. You project it out into the illusion of the dream. You've manifested it in the form of the situation and the person who appears to be causing you to suffer, making you a victim. So it's you project on one level, then you perceive it as real on another, and this projection, perception, feedback loop is what makes the illusion of a reality seemingly real. That's our own projections that lead to our perceptions of the world. So it's always you who are responsible for creating a reality. Perception reinforces projection, and the projection continues, and then you perceive it is real, and so it goes. And that's why you seem to be caught up in this dream. This is the mechanics of how the dream world is constructed in your mind. So knowing all of this, breathing again, just have some compassion. Be compassionate towards yourself and all others involved in the situation. Knowing that you and they are doing the best they can in their current state of consciousness. And all unconscious, unloving behavior happens because people do not feel loved. It's in fact a cry for love. So you and any other people involved in the situation need your help rather than your judgment and your condemnation. To only make the situation worse and strengthen your ego. To let go of these destructive thoughts and emotions and find the underlying happiness that is everyone's natural state and right. So just breathe in this compassion. You really understand that you've done your best. You've all apparently made mistakes, but it's all just the best you could do at the time. And so is everyone else doing the best they could do at the time. So this is the beginning of letting it go, softening your judgment, to have compassion for yourself and others. We're all in the same boat, the human boat. And it's a difficult boat to be in. It gets buffeted around, it gets tossed and turned, and ultimately it's going to sink. So have compassion for everyone in the same boat. Now I want you to feel the emotions. So again, bring to mind the situation that's really vexing you, that's causing you difficulties, mental, emotional, maybe physical pain. And you're going to breathe in and just feel these emotions. So now, like the emotions evoked by the thoughts you brought up instead briefly while remaining very aware that this is part of a healing process. It becomes hard to pull yourself out of. So just feel for a minute or two. Breathe in. Create some space, some light. So you're aware. There's a part of your mind that's aware, even though you might be experiencing some mental and emotional distress. There's a part of you that's aware of that, that's not that. So therein lies your salvation or your awakening from these thoughts. So now you're going to decide that you don't want this painful negative feeling inside of you to disturb your inner peace, cloud the awareness of your true and happy self ever again. So you're going to choose to release it right now by letting go all the effort it takes to hold on to the thoughts and emotions. So breathe in deeply. Nice full deep inhale breath. Visualize light flowing into you as you inhale. Golden or white light flowing into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. If you don't visualize well, just feel a sense of lightness lifting you up, opening your mind. Just breathe it all in. And in the presence of the light, the darkness must go. So with the help of your breath, you're going to exhale out. Exhale, breathing it all out. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. Pull the lower stomach into the spine and just rest here. The body you revel, just really appreciate the peaceful sense of relief and freedom that you will feel if you've released for a long, long time. So just a minute of silence, just breathe the breath flowing. Just appreciate the perfection and the apparent imperfection of a situation, because it's situation's a mirror that's helped you to see and to let go of your own pain. It's done. Without the situation, you wouldn't have let it go. It would remain in your subconscious or unconscious mind. So it's brought your unconscious guilt and fear and anger and any other egoic emotion, your suppression or repression. You can become aware again of the perfect you deserve to feel all the time. So don't worry if you struggle with feeling deservable, just feeling of peace. Appreciate the perfection of this present moment for the next minutes of deep silence. So into the silence, bring a sense of gratitude. You can really thank the person in your heart. Breathe in gratitude. Maybe visualize gratitude as a color, yellow, white. Thank the person or the people involved in this situation, entire situation, for being your teacher, for giving you the gift of bringing your ego's negative thoughts and emotions to your attention so you can release them. You can be freed from all the suffering they've caused you and others. Why wouldn't you be grateful to anyone who's helping you to free yourself from suffering? And so if you can feel that, then you know you've already forgiven. Gratitude and resentment cannot coexist. So really try and feel this gratitude towards this person or people involved in the situation, to the whole situation, to life itself, for this really amazing lesson, as painful as it might have been at the time. Perhaps you can see from this higher perspective that it was all really perfect in its imperfection and designed for your healing. So now, as you breathe in again, say to yourself that you've totally forgiven or let go, words I prefer to use, of the whole situation. People involved in the situation, into the nothingness it always was, and you and everyone else involved has been healed through your forgiveness or your letting go. So say to yourself as an affirmation of this, as you breathe in, I forgive you, and then name the person or people. And I am forgiven completely. All is forgiven and released. I've let go of all of my negativity. I release it now into the nothingness it always has been, always will be. So we always are, have been, and will be one self, capital Self. And so I love you unconditionally as myself, capital Self. Say that to the person. And then just drop into the feeling of that, the feeling of oneness, of unity. The truth is, this is the purpose of forgiveness. The purpose of letting go is to restore your mind to its state of oneness, to restore the unity of your mind and the unity with other minds. You recognize the truth that you are not separate from that person at all. All the ideas of separation are merely illusion. The very essence, the very core is that we are all one. And so just to finish the meditation, to just sink in for a couple of minutes of deep silence into an experience of this unconditional love. Just the pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's our translated name for God. And that awareness is in your mind right now. And the other person or people involved in the situation share that awareness. Because there's really only one awareness, therefore you are one. And all ideas of separation are merely illusory, deluded fantasies. No truth or substance to them. So to experience this, just give yourself a couple of minutes where you just sink inwards. Just watch your breath, observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Notice how the stomach rises and falls. And just be totally present to the breath. Let your mind just sink inwards to the peace of God, it's been called, that passes all understanding, the peace of pure formless awareness. Just God that passes all understanding. You don't have to understand it, just give yourself permission to experience it for the next couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. So just gently bringing yourself back in this deep contemplative state. It's an awareness of the body. Maybe the body slipped away for a bit. Remember how blissful that felt. Bring yourself back in a very present way into the body. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching. Simple taste in your mouth perhaps. Smell in your nose as you breathe in. Okay, and scan your mind. Just notice what's happening there. Maybe it's very quiet and peaceful and open. Still thoughts going on, still emotions related to the situation you brought up or anything else. Just once again, let them go. So, just deep breath in, and imagine you're breathing some light in, spacious awareness that's going to be there for the rest of the evening, in the background of your awareness. So it is said, so it is done. Exhale. Just let it all go. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down to your lower stomach and your groin. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. So now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, feeling your body, noticing the breath, noticing your sensations. 2, and come back with this deep awareness. And to give this rest of the evening to this awareness, call it the Holy Spirit or voice of God or guidance or intuition. It's going to just allow you to receive what you need to receive from the rest of the evening. So it is said, so it is done. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around. So observing the same room compared with 23 minutes ago when you closed your eyes, but maybe you just perceive it somewhat differently. Notice maybe a deeper peace, just some clarity of awareness, and try and stay rooted in that just through the breath. So just observe the breath as we continue, observing the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils, and that will help you stay connected to this underlying presence. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. I think now what I'd like to do is just speak for half an hour or so about what I promised to cover, and we'll, if you have any questions related to what I'm sharing, it's a very small group, so by all means, fire away. But I'm just going to cover the sort of body of what I promised to cover, and then we should have some time for questions and some interactivity at the end. So,
are there any questions now?
Yeah, and anyone need to stretch? You need to get up and stretch. Now's a natural break. Sven, if I can ask you if we can just get this going, I'm just going to share a few things which are quite useful to put up. Okay. Yeah, so there's the process I just took you through. I'm going to send you that. Yeah, actually, are you going up there, Lucy?
Yeah,
thank you. You top me up. Brilliant. Let's let's just check in with.
Yes, please. I'll come and join the guest.
Let's just check in with Julie. Julie, looks like you're all good.
All good.
Excellent. Yeah. No, so anything to share? How was that?
Yeah, sometimes I forget how I'm in a mental state that 20 minutes of pure focus concept of time just goes.
Yeah, interesting. 20 minutes and be in another world.
I just followed out 5 minutes into the meditation. You said you can breathe in again if you need to.
Well, I was taking a series of inhales. Like inhale, inhale.
It was just like it was just funny.
Don't forget to breathe. Okay, so I'm just going to let's do some slides. We need present interview. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Shouldn't cost much though.
I haven't got it yet, but keep hold of it.
Have you not done the thing yet?
No, just whatever. Might be about. You just keep it. You got space?
Yeah. I'm just I'll put the thing adding to it because it's growing on it.
We like to know
No.
Because you're close to the chest. Now you want pillows and he's like, you get bigger and bigger. So
Self-discipline, please.
I'm going to kind of start this midway through. So,
Okay.
so the question is everyone back? Shall I wait another minute?
So, you're going to check in with us in about 15 minutes to see if we're all with you.
Yeah. Well, you might.
A warm, solid wall of. Nothing exists.
No, it's actually this is quite practical. This. I mean, talking about the benefits. Yeah. Julie's still with us. Hi, Julie. Still with us? Can you see the screen okay? Okay. Perfect.
I can.
Shall I wait until?
No, far away while we're
So,
waiting.
I mean, it's about truth. So you say we're trying to get to the truth, and I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. The truth, because obviously the ego gets in the way, and it's my truth versus your truth, and you're saying no, it's beyond that. But how do we know we've arrived at the truth? How do you know it's the truth?
How do you know we're beyond?
You just know.
Ah, okay. Okay.
It just falls away.
There's just no doubt anymore.
Because everybody's truth different anyway.
No.
No?
Yeah, you're talking about one truth, aren't you?
How can it be? There's only one source. One of the laws of chaos. One of the laws of chaos that Yeshua talks about, of course, is that there's different truths. Well, my truth is not the same as your truth. But how can that be if it's the truth? The truth is true and nothing else is true. And it's a universal truth.
You're not just wording it differently. Everybody's wording it differently.
Yeah,
It's still
so
the same truth.
exactly. We word it differently, we've got different language, but the language isn't the truth. The words are not the truth. Words are symbols twice removed from reality. Truth is a felt experience. Carl Jung was actually asked the same question towards the end of his life, and they said, "Well, how do you know? How do you think? How do you believe?" He said, "No, I don't believe. I know the truth." That's the difference between belief and knowledge.
Was that Carl Jung said that?
Yeah, he was interviewed towards the end of his life, and he just said, "I know the truth." So the question is, how do we get there? How do we actually live in this connected way? How do we stay connected to the truth and feel happiness? And this quote is an interesting one, because this guy Charles Glassman says that, well, it requires one character trait, and that's self-discipline. Interesting take on happiness. So I'm going to ask you a question: the self-discipline to do what then? What is it we're supposed to have the self-discipline to do?
Self-awareness. So it's inner reflection.
Yeah? Anyone else?
I don't know, it could be anything. And self-discipline is a basket maker. I guess.
No, that's probably not going to get you to the truth. There's one
I disagree.
there's one essential skill. Well, not directly anyway. I mean, you can certainly immerse yourself in any activity and make connection and a flow. But there's one essential skill promised to reveal. So what is that one essential skill that we all need to discover truth, to be happy, for our lives to actually work?
Integrity.
Integrity to what?
Truth.
Okay, but we're kind of going around. There's a skill. What do you need to learn? What do you need to learn to really be happy?
Yourself.
Ultimately, know thyself. That's the truth.
Compassion. Love.
Yeah. But it says that we can't know the meaning of love. You can't teach us the meaning of love. I think I'll bring this up actually. Last night it was quite good. So this is the introduction to A Course in Miracles. Introduction to the text. So he says this is A Course in Miracles. It's a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So you can choose when you want to learn, but the curriculum's set. This is what he's saying. The truth is true. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It's a being. It's not something you can really learn, which is what he's saying. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. And right there's the clue to the I'm giving you a huge clue. So what is he saying there? What's the one thing we need to do?
Harmlessness.
How do you remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence?
Awareness.
It's another name for that.
Letting go.
Exactly. Which is kind of the title of the talk. It wasn't really it was a secret in plain view. That's why it's mastering the art of letting go. Letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. That's what it's about. Whatever the block is. And so awareness came into it, and that's correct, because you need to have the awareness of what the block is in order to let it go. But awareness itself is not sufficient. You're just aware of a block and you don't let it go. Well, that's great. You're aware of your block and you remain blocked. And then some people can be very aware of their block. That's all they're aware of. That's the problem. It's not just awareness. It's like you have to make a decision to let it go. So then he says the opposite of love is fear. Appears to be an opposite to love. Calls it fear. So that's all the blocks sit in that fear. But what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So right there, you've got a statement of duality in the one part of the sentence, and then he flips it to non-duality. He says, but the opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So this is the ultimate truth. It has no opposite. It's beyond opposites. There seems to be an opposite in this world, but in the end, there is no opposite. But in order to recognize that, to realize that, we must let go of our own blocks. Otherwise, we remain stuck in the dualistic thought system, where we think both love and fear are real. The light and the dark are both real. Our mind is split, and we can't make up our minds. We seem to be confused. And we don't know what's the light and what's the dark anymore. This is how the ego works. It convinces us that what's a block is actually the truth, and the light is to be feared. It's turned everything upside down. So the process of letting go is a two-step one. That 10 steps that I took you through, there's already 2 major steps there. First step is awareness. You need to become aware of these blocks. What is a block and what's not a block? What's actually authentic and genuine, coming from my true self, and what's a block and needs to be let go of. And that's why we do the mind training with this, because how do you know? If you haven't trained your mind, you're most likely to think that the block to your awareness of love's presence is you. This is the problem. We think the block to the awareness of love's presence is actually us. And this is our personal identity and all of our neuroses and our pathologies and our dramas, and we think the block is us. And so we are completely blocked from the truth. And so the way out of that is to start recognizing the blocks, and then the second step in this process is making a choice to let it go. Okay. I can if it's not serving me, if it's not true. See, this is the basis on which you can let it go. If it's ultimately not true, then I can let it go. Because if the blocks were true, then it would be impossible to let them go. But experience shows you that these things you can let go of. They're not permanent. They're not eternal. You can let go of anything that is so-called negative. Negative means it negates. It's a block. It negates the truth of your true awareness. So there's a letting go that's required. Just to tab back to here. Self-discipline to do what? To let go of any negative thought and emotion. I'm going to hyphenate that, because thought and emotion, what's the difference? We think, we feel, we think. It's kind of all happening in mind. So it's very difficult to distinguish. It's a movement of the mind, shall we call it. As and when these movements arise, so that you can experience. And there's a couple of key benefits. So let's get very practical. What are the benefits of this for you? Apart from ultimate enlightenment, transcending to this heavenly state. Right now in your life, you know, what can this art of letting go do for you? And the first thing is authentic happiness. So I use the word authentic because there's happiness and there's happiness, right? Happiness which we're buying, happiness somewhere outside of us, happiness coming from something we acquire, something we own, a relationship. This is not true happiness because it's external. We go, in order to be happy, I need this and this and this to happen. And that's desire. That sets us up in a pattern of seeking and seeking and never finding. As you'll know from your Buddhist teachings, that's the source of suffering. Desiring, craving, always seeking outside yourself and never saying, well, I'm happy now. So authentic happiness is, I'm happy now. But the only way I can be happy now is if I let go of the blocks to the awareness of that happiness. So letting go becomes fundamental to happiness. If you can't let go, then you can't experience this happiness. Because it's always, here are the premises on which it is based. It's always experienced in your own mind. Happiness or unhappiness is experienced in your own mind. And the second premise is that only your own negative thoughts and emotions and feelings can make you unhappy. If you accept both of those premises, you can't really dispute the first one. Happiness is clearly not something outside of you. It's an experience. But a lot of people will go, the second one, I don't know, but something outside of me is making me unhappy. This person, the situation, whatever is making me unhappy. That's the ego's viewpoint. And that makes you a victim of the world. But the truth is that it's your own negative thoughts and emotions about that situation that are making you unhappy. That's the ultimate truth, isn't it? How you interpret it. Some people might get very upset about something, and other people are like, I'm just not bothered. Really doesn't faze me. You've probably had that experience where you've got upset or haven't got upset, someone else got it by the same situation. And you go, well, how can that be? Because we perceive it differently. Because those first two premises are true, therefore, learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions must be the key to your happiness. The only thing that's blocking you is your negative thoughts and emotions, so let them go. And what arises then is authentic happiness, because it was already there. See, this is your natural state. It's just been covered over. It's a block to this awareness. So that's why letting go is absolutely key to happiness. And so that's the first benefit. This is the foundation of your life. Am I basically happy? Or am I basically unhappy? This is the key. If we can be basically happy, foundationally happy, we can get fluctuations around that, but very quickly restore to that base, then we have a solid base for other things to unfold. So the idea of flow is the second benefit. Fulfilling flow, I call it. So being able to let go of negative thoughts and emotions quickly enables you to stay calm and poised and able to enjoy each moment. No drama. Just okay, just let it go, flow with it. And you'll know if you've been in any situation where you do that things just unfold much more easily. If you can let go, often the next step arises. And then often following that, you get some impulse to action, positive effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. Comes into your mind, into your life, and you go, right, great, I can have this, I can do this, I can say that. And so this is guided action. Coming from a foundation of happiness, fulfilling flow is really happiness in action. So that's the second benefit. And you might go, well, what is this thing called flow? Anyone heard of flow before? Heard of the term? It's actually quite new, although the concept's not new, but a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I think that's how you say it, he's Hungarian, who kind of coined the term, which is really, so it entered modern psychological terminology through him, but it's a very old idea. It's in the Tao Te Ching, flow, Wu Wei, it's called in the Chinese teaching. Same thing. So let's say people say it's all new age. No, it's very old age. It's been going, it's just new terminology. And so this is what Mihaly had to say about flow. He said it's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives, that we learn to become more than what we were. So in the essence of that is a surrender. You're not attached to outcome. You're not attached to form. You're not doing it to get a specific outcome. You're doing it because it feels good. Because you feel happy when you're doing it. You see a picture of a father and a daughter, assuming a father and a daughter, they play for the sake of playing. Why do we play? There's no outcome. It's because it feels good. So the thing with this flow idea is why can't you always do that? Why do we have to be out? Why can't we just do what feels right, what feels good? and let that guide us. The flow guides it. So you're no longer outcome oriented. You're not setting up a situation where I require an outcome to be happy. I'm happy in the moment, just as I am. So flow is really happiness in action. How you actually translate this authentic happiness into action in your life. And then there's some other benefits, which are called higher purpose and ecstatic well-being. So if you can be authentically happy, you can flow in every aspect of your life, happiness in action. You're able to respond appropriately and effectively to every situation that arises. Then what will unfold for you is a healthy, meaningful, what I call an extraordinary, ordinary life. So nothing much changes on the level of form, but your perception of it has changed dramatically. You're actually happy, you're flowing, and you have extraordinary, ordinary experiences. You're not walking on water, raising the dead necessarily, not discounting those, it's possible. But a miracle is just actually a very ordinary experience of your daily life.
So just to backtrack a bit there. So it started off with the discipline. So this is the discipline.
To let go.
Stay in the flow, letting go.
Yes.
So that's all the explanation of what discipline is. Yeah, I get that.
Do you have the discipline to let go of what doesn't serve you? First of all, to identify it, right? You have to have some awareness. What is it I need to let go of? I have to have some awareness of my thoughts. But then do I have the discipline to let it go? Say, okay, I'm not going to hold on to this. I think you mentioned it kind of gets sticky and you get stuck in this thought. Or was it you? And you don't want to let it go. You hold on to it. And so it requires discipline. It requires vigilance. You've got to be aware, and you've got to then be committed and saying, okay, I'm going to let it go. No matter what, I'm committed to letting it go. Because that kicks off this whole flow. If I can be happy, I can flow in every aspect of my life. I can experience a healthy, meaningful, extraordinary, ordinary life filled with miraculous experiences and results. So those can look many different ways, but generally they feel good. The results show up from the feeling. So there's two aspects to the miracle. There's the internal aspect. I'll just switch across to here actually, because that'll give you a little taste. This integral model, called Ken Wilber came up with this, talks about the interior quadrant, individual interior, that's the domain of your intentions, individual values, priorities, motivations, feelings, etc. So now the interior miracle is a shift in your mind. You've let go, you're in flow, and then what happens on the exterior, because the internal world creates the exterior, is you get it flowing into the external world. And so now you have different behaviors, different performance outcomes, and we call those the external aspect of the miracle. But the miracle starts in your mind. So the miracle is really a shift in your mindset, change of mind, so that you now change your mind from the base of fear, of separation, and everything that goes with them, and you shift it over to the foundation of love, where you can let go of the negativity and you can experience that loving awareness again coming into your mind. That's what the miracle is, that shift. And then that can show up in form in many ways. You can get guidance on the level of form, behave in certain ways, you get certain performance outcomes. So it's inner and it's outer, and that's really what a miracle means. So that's why it took me 10 years to figure out what it was. Because I used to think it was just the external, but actually the internal miracle, the change in mind, is primary and foundational. And then how that looks externally, well, that just shows up to control that. That's the beauty of the miraculous state of mind. It's not conscious manifestation. Oh, I think I need this, so I'm trying to consciously manifest that. This is no, let me let everything go, let go of the negativity and let it flow. And as you mentioned, when you did the 12-step program and stuff, it was like, okay, I'm just letting it go. And I found an awareness and things just working better. It's like a surrender. And so that's the core of what I want, letting go, forgiveness, surrender. This is what starts to unfold, a much more flowing, meaningful, and extraordinary, ordinary life.
The miracle is that moment where you recognize it's okay, just let go.
Yeah. When you can really do that, you can really feel the release and you've let it go genuinely. mentally, emotionally, can be like, actually, I feel the peace. You know, the miracle, that's the engine room of the miracle. Then what unfolds from that can be, you know, miraculous and extraordinary. People from one moment in their lives of doing that, it can direct their entire life's journey. I'll give you a good example of that. Martin Luther, familiar with Martin Luther? He was basically the catalyst for the Reformation of Europe. He had one experience where he let go of the idea of sin and guilt. And he realized that by grace we're saved. From one line in the Bible where Paul said in Ephesians, well, it's not by works, but by grace we're saved. And he couldn't really get his head around that. And then finally one night he broke through and he just let go. And the release was so extraordinary from all of that sin and guilt and that the church had taught him, that he felt like I have to share this. This is what he dedicated his life to. And so, as a result of that, the whole Reformation of Europe comes about. And that was the underpinning of the Industrial Revolution and, the world that we now know, just from one man's epiphany. So, well, not really, because here we are.
Revolution.
No, but it was a necessary process.
Maybe.
Well, considering where they were, I mean, they were. You look at the indulgences and that whole really dark system of the church. It needed to be reformed. So there was a way out. It's all a process, and that's got us here. So now we have this amazing technology to be able to share this information. So it's all a process. So those are the benefits 3 and 4. You can have a sense of higher purpose. I just want to speak to that briefly. A lot of people are looking for their higher purpose somewhere in the future, want a great vision or goal. But actually, it's so simple. It's just being happy now and in the flow now with whatever you're doing. That's your true purpose. So you don't need to look anywhere other than right now. And then it unfolds. You're in the moment. It's unfolding. You have experiences, extraordinary experiences, and it's satisfying in itself. There's no like, oh, I need something in future to happen. I think we've experienced that over the last week. It's been amazing, just showing up every night. It's just all flowed, and so in the end, a retreat might come out of it. But the point is, the experience itself has been valuable. I would repeat it, no matter what the end outcome is. Just sharing, connecting is valuable in itself, and that's really the essence of the flow. Being in the now and saying, yes, it's valuable in itself. So just to summarize, there's 4 keys to what I call an extraordinary life that all come from letting go. Number 1, the key to authentic happiness. That's knowing how to let go of any negative thoughts and emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them seems to be. That's a pretty good skill if you can do that. No matter how challenging it is, you can let it go. And we're learning from our master, because in the extreme of the crucifixion, he let it go. He said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Just an amazing, demonstration of the power of letting go in the most extreme situation. Number 2, the key to fulfilling flow. So this is knowing how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive and effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. Number 3 and 4, kind of tied together, higher purpose and ecstatic well-being. Knowing how to be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life. Live a healthy, meaningful, extraordinary, ordinary life. Filled with joyful experiences. So the joy is the ecstasy. It's like it's coming through as this ecstatic well-being, flowing up and through you, bubbling up. And you can have these moments daily. You don't have to wait. It's not like one epiphany in your life. Moment by moment, you can have these moments where you really feel ecstatically well. It might only last for a few moments, and then you kind of drop down into a base level of peace and flow. Well, that's not so bad. That's really quite a good state to be in, with moments of ecstasy punctuating your day. And so in this program I've designed, there's these breath breaks where we practice the lesson. Take a few minutes out, take a time out, breathe, connect with it. And if you do that, you can really punctuate your day with moments of ecstatic well-being, which just connect you into this presence, and then now you carry on with the day. Now you're in a state of fulfilling flow. So your base state is where you have moments of ecstasy, and that can be daily. So can you see why letting go is the critical skill? is absolutely critical, because without it, if you can let go, then it kicks off authentic happiness, because I can let go of whatever's blocking my awareness of happiness. So then I can be authentically happy. If I can be authentically happy, then I can enter a state of flow. That's happiness in action in my life. Then I can experience fulfillment and higher purpose and ecstatic well-being. And so it's a cascade. But if you can't let go, how can you be happy? It's not possible, because there's blocks coming up all the time. You don't know how to let them go, so the block remains. Your happiness is blocked. So then you can't enter flow, because flow requires happiness at its foundation. So then what you try and do is you try and get some kind of satisfaction in the external world. You go, well, if I do this, then I'll feel happier. And you're seeking for some kind of person, place, event, circumstance, substance, whatever it is, to make you happy. And of course, that's how addiction happens. We're trying to solve the problem externally, and it's an internal problem. So forget fulfilling flow, and then no fulfillment, no sense of higher purpose, just kind of desperately seeking, craving, not really finding any satisfaction, and it's all very unsatisfactory. Dukkha, dissatisfaction, if you can't let go. So that's why it's absolutely the critical skill. And in all of my learning, this has been the simplest truth. It's like, this is what you need to learn. One simple skill to master. So you might ask yourself, well, how can I do this? How can I learn to let go and find my flow and be happy? Well, there's two ways to transformation, right? New information is necessary sometimes. Some of this information might be new to you, some of it might be old hat. You might have learned something tonight, that's great. But it's not a sufficient step for a true transformation of mind to happen. Why? Because transformation is experiential. So one of the ways is through intense pain and suffering. Some of you might experience some of that. And I think always with transformation, there's an element of it. No one transforms if everything's really happy and they're going along swimmingly. It's because of a degree of pain and suffering. Through intense pain and suffering, you can go within and you can kind of break through suddenly to a new level of understanding. Good example of that, Eckhart Tolle. Byron Katie, just like they're not actually on a spiritual path, although they were, but not consciously practicing anything, just desperately unhappy, so miserable, and then something cracks open and suddenly they go, wow, actually that's my ego's just kind of dropped away and I see. And they were lucky enough for that to happen, but many people had done it. It was kind of a spawn. Eckhart Tolle said, I don't know what happened. I was just so miserable, and then I had this kind of dropping away and I passed out, and then the next morning I wake up and I just like feel free and peaceful. So that's one way. That's the way of the cross. The second way is through conscious, disciplined practice of spiritual ideas and techniques. You can systematically grow in understanding and wisdom. And that's the way of mastery. So this is spiritual practice, which is, again, very, very old. There's many different spiritual practices, many different paths. So I'm going to talk to you about one particular path, being Course in Miracles, and how that relates to yoga, which is probably one of the most ancient paths of mastery. So the principles of transformation through mastery are understanding and realization through your personal experience. It's all about your own personal experience. No one can tell you. You have to experience it. So that's what becoming a mystic means. It requires your active willingness and your disciplined effort. So you have to actually put some effort into it. Doing key spiritual practices regularly is absolutely essential in order to follow the path. It can be greatly facilitated by another person or group who help to raise the person's consciousness. I call it initiate. This is alchemical language. If you do this by transmitting positive energy and holding the person accountable. And then there's an immersion in the key spiritual practices and the positive field of consciousness. It can really greatly accelerate. So what we've done with the Art of Letting Go is created that field. You come into the field, you participate in it, even if we're not physically together. It's a field of energy, and that is what does the transformation. So I promised to talk about 7 key spiritual practices that will help you do this. So, and this is all incorporated into this program, the Art of Letting Go program. Number 1, breathwork techniques. So incorporate into every meditation or breath break is breath work. That's related to in yoga. If you're familiar with the yogic teachings, There's 8 limbs of yoga. Asana is one of them. You go into a posture. So we got into a posture. You were in a savasana posture. Others were sitting. So that's asana. Pranayama is breathing, breath control. So some breathing control. I'm saying breathe in, hold the breath, exhale. This involves breath control, and then pratyahara is a withdrawal of the senses. So you withdraw the senses and you go within, and that's part of letting go. Secondly, multi-dimensional meditation. So you just experience a taste of that. So we use breath. Some of the meditations I use touch, I use toning, use visualization. We did some color visualization, and all of that can appeal to people in different levels. So depending whether you're more auditory or visual kinesthetic, the meditation can help you through that pathway to go deeper into your mind. Related, the kind of principle in the yogic teaching is dharana and dhyana. So dharana is a focus meditation. You focus on something like a visualization or a mantra or a candle flame or a word, and that takes you into a state where your mind is one-pointed. From that one-pointedness, you can then go into dhyana, which is a deeper contemplative meditation. You can just really become aware of awareness. But that's quite an advanced stage. So we use dharana to ultimately open the way to this deeper contemplative dhyana state. And there's forgiveness or letting go, which is a direct practice, like you did the 10-step process. There's other processes we use to help you to really work through something. It's okay, well, let me work with the issue, and it's a letting go process or a forgiveness process. So there's a number of those that I include in the program. You just experienced one of them. Then group discussions. So I found this an enormously powerful modality. We've experienced a little bit tonight, there's connection, there's sharing, just enabled by this amazing technology, Zoom, which allows us to connect in, share, information can get shared, people can connect in with each other, and there's a field of energy that gets created by the technology. It's quite extraordinary. So it's almost as good. It's not one exactly, I really enjoyed being in person with people, but there really is a connection and there's a field of energy that develops in these discussions. And that's called niyama, part of the niyama limb, and that's called svajaya in yoga. And we also read or listen to spiritual texts. So in our case, it's A Course in Miracles. It's not the Bhagavad Gita or some Eastern text, but it's really saying the same thing. It's the Christian version of the Vedanta. Will Thetford, who was one of the founders, called it. It's a non-dual teaching for a Western mind to help us to learn this in a structured, disciplined way to ultimately undo our egos. Sixth thing is fasting and abstinence. So as part of the we're going to do a 24-hour fast. Food. It's not just about food. It's about abstaining from habits that aren't serving you. So you might watch too much TV, addictions, smoking, drinking, drugs, alcohol. It's about letting those go and just opening yourself up to something else. So, that's what we're going to be doing in the retreat. We're going to have digital detox as well, just like no phones, no electronic devices for those 5 days, so that you can really, experience this for yourself. And then finally, embedded into this program is end-of-day reflection. So that's like a contemplative meditation. It involves asanas and breathing, pratyahara, withdrawing the senses, and just a series of questions. You go through and you ask yourself, what was your day like? So that's kind of a focus to the mind, hence the dharana. So it's a contemplative focused meditation. So all of that's embedded into this program. You don't have to work this out for yourself. If you follow the program I give you, it's all in there. Then finally, if you recall, if you know the 8 limbs of yoga, the final 8th limb is called samadhi, which is the enlightened state, which is not really a practice. It's a state of mind, a state of being. So there's Yeshua in his enlightened state in samadhi. That's really just a state where there's a sameness of perception. So I see you as I am. You're the same as me. In fact, everything's the same as me. I see there's just one fundamental awareness underlying everything. This is the universal hallmark of enlightened beings. They all have this fundamental awareness. And so ultimately, all of these practices lead you into that awareness. So more and more you stay rooted in your true awareness. And you can't be fooled by the separation. separation on the level of form, you just overlook that. You stay rooted in your true awareness. That's the enlightened or samadhi state. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about this Art of Letting Go program and the retreat, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So it's a facilitated 1-year mind and life transformation process. It's a 1-year program. I run it from February. So as Diana said, she started at the beginning. So we're 6 months into it. But you can dive in now because the thought system is holographic. It's one truth. It's based on the way of mastery of yoga and immersion learning. All of these principles that I just shared are in there. It incorporates 7 key spiritual practices and 7 limbs of yoga. So it's all embedded into the program. Includes live and recorded daily online meditations, discussion sessions, transformational exercises, solo meditation and breath work, studying A Course in Miracles, all embedded in the program. The goal is really to help you to master the art of letting go, learn to let go of fearful, stressful thoughts and emotions whenever they occur, as they arise, so you can start consistently experiencing all the benefits I've mentioned. Authentic happiness, knowing how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them appears to be, and choose to be happy instead. Secondly, fulfilling flow, you'll know how to remain poised.
So I just wanted to say that, because we've done this bit, I wonder whether, because looking at the time, it's like 7:10.
Okay, so give me 5 minutes just to wrap it up, and then we'll have some questions. All of these benefits come from this letting go. More happiness flow in every aspect of your life, finding a higher purpose and meaning, ecstatic well-being, like living in joy regularly, living in this extraordinary, ordinary way. And I experience it, and other people have experienced it. Maybe Iona and Lucy can share some of their own experience. So embedded into it is a huge amount of value. I'm not going to go into that. There's an enormous amount of content in there. There's daily emails, there's Telegram messages, live online discussions, recorded meditations that I send you every day, breath breaks, discussions. There's a course, which I don't have time to go into, but that's going to happen in February again. But if this excites you, there's a couple of things you can do from this. You can dive in right now if this interests you. It's an offer to all of you. Offer a 3-week free trial. So you can dive in, you join the program, you can experience it for 3 weeks at no charge, see how it works for you. And if it works for you, then you continue. And if it doesn't, absolutely no hard feelings. This isn't necessarily for everyone. It's quite an intense program, and it's related to A Course in Miracles. And so you have to establish whether it works. The next course is going to be start of the program, first 6 weeks of the program, Sunday the 5th of February, Sunday the 19th of March. So you could decide to wait until next year and dive in then. Or you can join now on a 3-week free trial. Whenever you want to take your free trial, I'll offer it to you. Just to let you know how this program works practically, there's live online meditation and discussion sessions from Monday to Friday, 12:30 UK time. So that's Monday to Friday. And then we have 3 evening sessions, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. So there's 8 live sessions, and that's probably 2 to 3 hours at a time. So work that out. You've got maybe 20 hours of live sessions, which you can participate in if you want to. No one joins every session because you have to fit it into your life, but it's all there available for you. Session lasts 2 to 3 hours. You can join as long as you like, 15 to 20 hours a week. And then I wanted to just briefly talk about the retreat. So that's happening in 6 weeks' time, starting on the 21st of September. To the 26th of September. So it's 6 full days, 5 nights at Marcoussis, this lovely location, which you're familiar with, where we'll be really doing a lot of the material that's in the course. So in the 6-week online course, I've got some transformational exercises, processes. I've done a number of these kinds of transformational workshops myself. So it's fun, and it's primarily experiential. Right. Thanks, Julie, if you've gone. if you've got to go.
So can we open the floor up now? Because we are just trying to remember time.
Yeah. So any questions about this? And there's the basic information. It's really a transformational experience.
Or even about the cosmology.
Yeah. Questions about anything. And I'll leave the pricing up there. There's a cost, but we try to make it as reasonable as possible because we'd really like people to do it. So there's a residential option and there's a non-residential. If you live close by, you could travel through. That's cheaper, but I'd encourage you to immerse yourself in the experience and come on site and be here, because you're in the energy. It's going to be feel the transformational energy that you can immerse yourself in. And if you leave it, I think that experience might be broken because you go away and as you know, you go home and other things can happen. So I really encourage you, even if you live close by, to come stay 5 days and really immerse yourself in this retreat experience, to really help you let go. The whole point of it is to help you let go of your ego's game. So it gets very personal. What is your game? What do you do? How do you deny love? How do you block love? And if we can help facilitate that experience of seeing it and letting it go, it's life-changing. It's absolutely game-changing. Your entire life changes. You connect with your essence identity in that 5 days very deeply, and you're never going to be the same again. So it is authentically life-changing. Yeah. Let go of the old self.
Let go of the hard sell as well.
Yeah.
Let go of the hard sell as well.
Okay, so there we go. There we go. I'm going to throw it open to questions. I wanted to just talk about the hero's journey briefly.
Oh, can we just take pause? Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, I did refresh the hero's journey when I was talking.
Yeah. Anyone familiar with this?
Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah,
Joseph Campbell,
exactly.
yeah.
Variations of the Hill Journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
available at most good movies.
yeah.
Near you.
Yeah, they study this in movie school. The structure.
Well, I was trying to explain to my kids about that, and they went, "Yeah, I know. We did that in like third year." So they instructed me on what the hero's journey was. Yeah, it's great. And media studies. Yeah.
So it's a call to adventure. That's where it starts. Tonight, hopefully, there's been some inspiration, some sharing. You go, okay, am I up for this? Would I like a transformational experience? Call to adventure. If you're up for it, you take the next step. Usually, there's a mentor, a guide involved. So we have 3 here. We're all mentors and guides who've been on this journey. It's about being willing to go beyond the known world, the normal world, the known world, breaking through the barrier, crossing the threshold into the unknown world, which is your true self. Really discovering that. Being willing to go through the trials, tribulations, challenges. There's going to be helpers along the journey coming in to guide you. If you've been on a journey like this, I think we probably all have. There's support, there's guidance. I think you mentioned it. So there's guidance on the journey. You're not alone. You acquire new skills. Eventually, it leads you into the abyss, into the death of the ego and the rebirth into a new self. And that new self emerges at the end of the experience. So
there can also be mini ego deaths.
Yeah.
Not necessarily there's that one.
Yeah, it happens differently for everyone, but eventually it leads you to the point of collapsing the ego. So in the retreat, the idea is to really facilitate this, so you can have a really letting go experience. The ego dies to a large extent, and what emerges at the end out of that is an experiential knowing of your true self. Who am I really? And that's the revelation, the at-one-ment. You recognize that you're really at one with yourself and everyone else, and you bring the gifts back, having been on this journey, back into the known world. Unfolds.
I know
feel a call.
my dad's 93, and been a scientist all this time. Not scientist, really fascinated by quantum, but very kind of controlling in a sense, you know, in his life and with his children, and you know, it's got to be like this. And it's within the last 2 years or so of his life, probably about the age of 91, I noticed, God, something is actually shifting. And cognitively, he's still ping, you know, he's a brilliant mind. It's almost like, you know, he's waited right to the end, and he's had the opportunity to just, without really understanding, it's more going into certainly not the spiritual aspect as shown here, but in terms of going into the quantum theory, I mean, he's beginning to get that the things that he's been hanging on to are just, they're meaningless, they don't mean anything, and so he can be in a really different way now, and there's a different perspective, and I notice he's just not, there is like a you know, something he's like before he dies, and I'm incredibly grateful to witness this, you know, for the last 2 years. It's probably with activist miracles events and like that, because the book really point to that sense of being able to just move beyond what looks like a block, to just watching this, and probably in my own life too. It's hard to see sometimes where things are cracking open. You know, you can have some experience or some knowledge, you know, you feel like, yeah, that's really shifted. But I think also from people around us, we start to notice things. It's like, wow, something's really softening, it's dissolving.
And more space. I think that's what Lichtenberg creates. It's a lot of space.
Yes.
And then room for growth. The unexpected, I think, that you alluded to a lot.
Yeah, this unknown world just starts to unfold, and you've created the space for it, and you go on a journey. And really, it's the one thing to do is you have to let go to undertake the hero's journey. Because if you hold on to the known world, you can't make that journey. So that's what a lot of people struggle with. How do you break through these barriers? The ego do this.
Yeah.
The threshold guardians are there saying, no, whatever you do, don't do this. Avoid it like the plague, because it's going to be the end of the ego. It knows, it's the thin edge of the wedge. If you really start looking at it, eventually it's going to unravel, and it's going to be undone. But it avoids it at every point, and that's why the journey is challenging. Because you've got, on the one, the resistance of the ego, which can be seemingly very big. And then on the other, the spirit, the impulse to awaken and to grow and learn each other. They seem to be a great struggle going on in mind. But I guess, the value of some kind of facilitated process, you just get guidance and support to help you on that journey. That's really what we do in the Artigo program, the retreat, guidance and support, if you're up for the journey. And we can help facilitate.
Absolute information overload. You talk all good stuff. Just almost, you started by saying this is the similar summary of the Course of Miracles, and you really have that. But I can't take it anymore. And there needs to be some fluidity in this room. There needs to be some room for some of it to land and maybe be danced and fed back, and you've got to slow down sometimes.
Yeah, well, here we are. It's at the end. So, questions and comments.
And what is the subject of the Course of Miracles? I've never heard of it before.
Okay.
Could I explain? Yeah. It was, I wanted to, in fact, she said at one time to the voice, why can't you choose somebody obedient like a nun? somebody who really believes in what you're saying. Exactly. It took her 7 years to hear
I think
this
so, yeah.
voice. It was translated. Her name was Helen Shipman, and she lived in New York. And she was in terrible trouble in her psychology department at Columbia State University. They're falling out of love with each other and terrible mess in the department. Anyway, I am sort of skipping the story a little bit, but she started to hear a very persistent voice saying, "This is a Course in Miracles. Take note." She told her colleague, and in 1965, in a department of psychology, they would be like measuring out the laudanum. But instead, he said something unusual. He said, "Write it down." And 7 years later, the voice fell silent. And this wasn't 24/7. She'd pick it up and put it down. But it would always come back. And she took it to be the voice of Yeshua and the end of Yeshua, Jesus. Yeah. And then there were 1,300 pages of text, a workbook for students, and for teachers. And there's the
I'll
big
show it to
book,
you.
Course in Miracles.
I've got a copy.
And it's not patented, it's not owned, there's no copyright, it's freely reproducible anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift to the world. Thank you.
Have a feel of that. It's quite a tome.
So there's a lesson every day.
And the idea, I guess, is that you work through it and integrate it into your life.
Yeah.
So it's not just a book you read, it's a book that teaches you about life.
I found that to be the case. I started, for many years, just, okay, show me what I need to read today, and just opening a page and going, that's absolutely fantastic. Wow, I carry that with me. But then I wanted to do a more focused.
So what does it say, Andy? You just opened it.
What it yeah.
Okay, so page 424. You came this far because the journey was your choice, and no one undertakes to do what he believes is meaningless. What you had faith in still is faithful, and watches over you in faith, so gentle yet so strong, that it would lift you far beyond the veil and place the Son of God safely within the sure protection of his Father. Here is the only purpose that gives this world, and the long journey through this world, whatever meaning lies in them. Beyond this, they are meaningless. You and your brothers stand together, still without conviction they have a purpose. Yet it is given to you to see this purpose in your holy friend and recognize it as your own.
Wow.
And that's the last part of page 424.
424. So there you go. You had a little taste of a miracle there. It's a perfect message, right? Because we just talked about the hero's journey. So that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Andy's journey.
Yeah.
Andy's journey.
Andy's hero's journey. Yeah.
I noticed the word fear was on one of your slides quite early on.
Yeah.
And that one of my key mantras is never make a decision based on fear. Never do anything because of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I assume that features in your retreat, presumably. This is something that you guys tackle, the issue of fear and what role it plays in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Where does fear come from? What's the origin of fear? Well, the origin of fear is separation in your mind. You have a separate self-concept, separated from your source, and now you have this crazy thing called fear, where you actually fear your source, and then you project that fear all over the place, and you project it out into the world, and you fear all kinds of external things. But really, actually, what you fear is your source. You fear your own awareness, which is completely insane.
Do you remember the quote, the Nelson Mandela when he came out of jail after 27 years? Do you remember his quote?
Yeah.
He was quoting a woman called Marilyn Williamson from the book Return to Love, and saying it's not our darkness that frightens us, it's our brilliance.
Well, I'll share it if you like. It's in my It's in my presentation.
So she was one of the running for president in 2016, and she is
Marianne Williams.
she is Course of the Miracle.
There we go.
That's her biggest thing.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Brilliant.
There's a phrase,
And she's written this amazing book that is one of the classics to read, Return to Love. I mean, that is should be on the book list.
Yeah, so there it is. There's the quote.
argue for your limitations and they're surely yours.
Yeah.
That's right.
Argue for your limitations and they're surely yours.
Mm.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank you, yeah.
So there's the quote. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and actually who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. Not just in some of us, it's in everyone. Other people are permission to say from our own fear, our presence automatically. Nelson Mandela quoted when he came out of prison 7 years. He always read Marianne's book.
Probably did what you
Well, 2020, thank goodness for my country that he did. Because he came out and he had what the entire, history of the country changed. If he'd been a vengeful, angry guy, it would have been a very different story. So I've witnessed firsthand the miracle of forgiveness in a whole society, what it can actually do. And it was profound and transformational. And then, subsequent to him retiring, there's no one who had understanding of what he understood. And so then it degrades back into ego and separation, and you see the negative effects of that in the society showing up. So, this is just my favorite quote of all time. It's really a call to say, are you up for overcoming? Your deepest fear is your own source. This is the great paradox. Like, why would you fear your own light? But we do, because we have a separate self that wants to be in control and wants to prevent that light from shining through. And so that's what we work with in the retreat. It's about, okay, let's really look at your self-concept. Who do you think you are? That's what it comes down to. And if who you think you are is false, it's a false self, then fear is inevitable. You're going to be fearing who you really are, and always defending that separate self. And the self-concept is that's what really A Course in Miracles is about. Identifying this ego self-concept and letting it go step by step, piece by piece.
Great question.
Does that answer the question?
yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else? Comments, questions, thoughts?
Or maybe as around and stretching a bit, comments and questions come to the surface.
Yeah.
The energy.
You want to stand up and move around?
And also,
Get up.
I get what I get is that we're all just potential energy. And I submerge myself as light to pop back up with the void.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Yeah, but it takes a tremendous amount of energy to keep us down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do it to myself.
We all do. Yeah, that's the thing. When you realize you're doing it to yourself, then there's the key to freedom, isn't it? Because I'm doing it to myself. No one's imposing this on me. I'm not a victim anymore. It's very empowering to even if you haven't fully let go, to realize, okay, but it's my own stuff. I've got to let go. That's really the key to it. and then systematically, progressively, with a disciplined, systematic approach, you undo it. And so what I like about Yeshua's course is saying, look, it's not a one-hit wonder here. You're not expecting just to wake up overnight. This is going to be systematic, progressive mind training. Every day, you're going to work with this, you're going to work with the ideas, you're going to apply them in your life to let go of whatever issues are coming up. And you, bit by bit, you unpick the ego. You let go of this thought, you let go of that emotion, and it's just to become freer and freer. And that, that's the journey of the rest of your life. That's what you get to do. It's the only purpose, as he said. The only purpose is to find of this journey through this illusion of time and space and human life is to find the truth, ultimately, of who you are. And that's what gives it whatever meaning it has. So thanks for that comment.
Good note to end on, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other?
Thing to say, Karen?
No, I need to be in dreamland right now.
Yeah.
Time for bed.
Thank you, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I will be in touch via, because I think you all gave me your mobile number. I'll send you text messages every day. And if you would like to join our 3-week free trial, talk to me now if that's something, or down the line tomorrow, or the thought occurs to you, you're most welcome. And we're doing a talk next Sunday evening online. It'll be just Lucy and I, because Ione is away, about the retreat. So if you want to know in detail what this is about, we'll go through the logistics, we'll go through what we're going to cover, costs, etc. I really highly recommend you join it. So I'll let you know at the time. It's going to be 7:30 p.m. next Sunday. And we'll probably send you some information. Yeah. Okay. You're off.
Thanks for saying.
Thanks very much. Okay.
No,
Share.
we're going to